Yeah, you have the logo and everything, but it's Link instead of Phoenix. This is our Ocarina of Time style courtroom, I guess, with the Triforce on the bench there. The old NC4 3D models and everything. There's the Zelda theme mixed in with a kind of a courtroom kind of song. That's kind of reminiscent of Phoenix Wright, I guess. I just want to hear this whole song. That I heard. It's kind of like Phoenix Wright motif there. Yeah. It loops now. And I'll say that to each scene, okay? So how does this game open up? It's so quiet. Alright, so I don't know who's voicing. Do you think they forgot? Forget a royal visitation? No one could make such a blunder, princess. Well, I guess I should just go in then. It's a different looking model for Zelda. Alright. So, looks like the daughter is the defendant for killing her dad. That's what it looks like. Because that's what those two are supposed to be in Ocarina of Time. Or father and daughter. March 17th, 9:37 a.m. Hyrule Grand Court. Defendant lobby number 3. Okay, what voice should I give Link? Maybe just my voice. You'd think that after so many years of doing this, I'd be used to the stress. How many years have we been doing this, Link? So why am I shaking? God. Guess it's a lot worse when it's your friend's life that's on the line. Oh, so they're friends, okay. Come on, gotta look professional. She can't see you like this. Speaking of her, though, where is she anyway? It had that little Phoenix Wright sound in there. It's like in the sound font of NC4. Hey, you over there. Huh? Where is it, attorney? The trial isn't started yet, or isn't starting yet. But it will soon, right? When do you happen to know why my client isn't here yet? I didn't get to speak much with her when she was arrested, so I was hoping I could at least exchange a word with her now. Well, you weren't the only one with the idea. I believe she's currently in the prosecutor's lobby. She wanted to talk to her. He wanted to talk to her as well. Which is what I'm curious about. Who's the prosecutor then? Link's the attorney, and then who's the prosecutor? What? What is up with this guy? He bars me from the crime scene, blocked my detention center visits, and now this? Not to worry, she will definitely be here before the trial. Great. That'll be joyous 5 minutes indeed. A joyous 5 minutes. There's nothing I can do but wait. Sometime later. Okay, this is ridiculous. How much longer can he keep her? Aw, see, there she is. You need to get all worked up. Is something wrong? Did I hear shouting? So much for looking professional. No. Don't worry, everything's fine. Maybe Apollo? He's fine. This is Malin. Ever since we met in Hyrule Castle Town all those years ago, we've been great friends. So is this kind of like a timeline where Ganon didn't destroy the world basically, and Link was able to become an attorney, I guess? Okay. Because yeah, they did meet in how Castle Town like this does here in the game. Her heart's in the right place. I know she cared deeply about her father. Oh no, wait. What's that? If everything's fine, why do you look so worried? Well... How did the investigation go? Did you find anything? Yes, the investigation. I found tons of, groundbreaking stuff. Particularly that my opponent's a real scumbag. Let's pull the mic a little bit closer. I did make sure that I'm muted, right? Yes, I did. What did the prosecutor want with you, anyway? Well, it was mostly just threats. He kept explaining in detail what would happen to me if I'm found guilty. Doesn't sound like a vital discussion that needed to happen right before the trial. He probably just did that so we wouldn't have as much time to talk. You believe in me, right? I didn't do it. I never. Of course I believe you. Although, I'll be honest, things aren't looking very good right now. The sound of it. What's that you got there? Oh? This is just a pictograph. Yeah, that's what they call those pictures in Zelda, is pictograph instead of picture or photograph. It's just a pictograph of my father, a father I'm carrying around. I mean, if anyone did it, it's probably Ingo on the left there. I just can't believe he's gone. I wish I knew how to cheer her up right now. I'm not very good at handling emotional clients. Hey, that pictograph could be really useful for the trial. Oh? How so? Well, you look so happy together. I can present it to show that you two had a great relationship. You really think so? Well, here you go then. At least I'll be walking in there with something other than my badge. What is this badge? Like a Triforce, maybe? Or like a Hylian shield? But wait, we shouldn't just be idly chatting. Anyway, there's not much time left. I know it's hard to talk about, but can you tell me what actually happened? I don't stand much chance if I don't know your version of the story. I understand. Unfortunately, the trial is starting. Defendant, attorney. Please enter the courtroom at once. Uh-oh. Shouldn't have said that stuff about having no chance. Alright, everything will be fine. The prosecutor has been playing me for a fool since this began. But sooner or later, his arrogance will be his undoing. Let's head inside. Watch, it is Ganondorf as the prosecutor. I wouldn't be surprised. My name is Link. I've been a defense attorney for the last 7 years. Okay. I've won my fair share of cases, and lost some too. But this one is personal. There's so much at stake here. Not only do I have to save Malin's life, I have to find out who did this to Talon. Talon. He was always so kind. He didn't deserve this. I need to do him justice. I can't lose this. One of his, like, most cases, and being right with it, like, that is Ganondorf. Of course it is. He's like our Von Karma, I guess. The older, one. Court is now in session for the trial of Malin of Long Branch. Defense is ready, Your Honor. It's meant to honor with a U, okay. I sincerely doubt that. What were they thinking? Pitting me against some pathetic kid. He's going by Dragmire instead of Gandalf, okay. He even has like the little Phoenix pose, okay. With animation. Pathetic kid. Oh. Still your tongue. You bring shame upon the fine color of your hair, vile woman. It's because you're both redheads? Yeah, he's doing the Von Karma, like, finger thing. Okay. Before long, the world shall know that horrible deeds you've committed. Talk about yourself. Let us not prolong the inevitable. Shall we begin? I try to get those two different voices because they're both kind of deep. Maybe give them more like a. No, the court is no place to be exchanging insults. Not that muffled. Since the prosecution seems ready as well, let us hear the opening statement. The opening statement shall be the closing one. The girl did it. It's obvious. She killed her own father in cold blood. Oh, so she could have the ranch to herself. That laugh animation. Couldn't wait for the old fool to die naturally, could you? You greedy little rat. It's what it looks like, lifted. Your Honor, you can't allow this man to verbally abuse the defendant like this. Huh. She committed the murder, kid. She deserves every bit of scorn she gets. I do believe a little less commentary wouldn't go amiss. Bah. I assure you, old man, you will change your opinion once you see all the damning evidence. Who is this guy? How can he speak to the judge like that? Yeah, like she has the Maya face in the animation too. Hey, where's Phoenix at? Yeah. Well, the links are gonna be outstanding, I guess. Ganondorf Dragmire. Looks like I've been lucky to avoid meeting this man until now. Stories I've heard about him must be true. A boorish barbarian of a man hailing from the Gerudo province. Apparently he prides himself on the nearly clean streak he's cultivated for decades, of course, yeah. It's just Von Karma. All while disrespecting everyone in the court, including the judge. I've even heard some attorneys refer to him as the King of Evil. I mean, Ganon's not the one on trial right now, unfortunately. So, he can't be found guilty. Well, he could have been the one that did it, I guess. So, maybe he is the guilty party here. But I feel like it's not that simple. I don't think they would throw Ganon away on the first case, unless there's only one case in this game. That face. Definitely has that look. At the very least, who wears full armor to court? Very well. Please present your case to the court. You don't seem to like me talking. So I'll just let the detective present the basics. Detective? Bring Impa of the Sheikah Force to the stand. I think that makes sense. Yeah, Sheikah, yeah, Impa would be, yeah. Malin is. He's standing next to me, which isn't really proper, I guess, all the time, but sometimes they do that in Phoenix Wright, I guess. But yeah, Malin is on trial for killing Malin. So, Long Lawn Ranch, murder, I guess. Well, here we go. The first battle. I know Impa. She's quite a competent detective. Which worries me. Please let her have made a mistake just this once. That's a different outfit, Impa. Yeah, it's very Fever Dream stuff. Alright, state your name and whatever it is you pretend to do. You never change, do you, prosecutor? Any possible change would be for the worse. Now, stop wasting time. Name and occupation. Oh, man. Very well. I am Impa, head detective at Chica Force, Homicide Division. True for now, at least. Japan even have lawyers and stuff like it in the US, I wonder if Japan does have a court system, but it's a little bit different than ours. And his history is a bit different too. I think they did adopt some US rules, but like stuff that how court is run, I think it's maybe a little bit based off of that in their legal system, but I'm not sure. If anything, I think it's more based off British law than American law. So yeah, it's somewhat based off us, I guess you could say. Well, what are you waiting for? Start talking. You're the one assigned to this case, so you know all about it. What calamity has befallen our fair kingdom? Okay, that seems intentional, Ganon. Calamity. Ganon. Still can't be bothered to give a proper opening statement. I suppose I can do the prosecutor's job for him this time, for the sake of an unbiased look. Please go ahead, detective. The incident happened early yesterday morning at London Ranch, a local supplier of goods located just south of Castletown. The current owner of the homestead, Talon, was found... Talon, not Malin. Malin is her name, his name is Talon, yeah. Was found dead in his ranch house. All using the owl's theme for this. Okay. Tragic loss for our kingdom for sure. I have seen this man around Castletown a number of times delivering goods. Quite. The owner was a rather important figure in the local community. In any case, we were alerted to the scene of the murder by the Royal Guard, who were there on official business. Official business? What kind? As I understand, the ranch provides the kingdom with vital services. To ensure it's operating as it should, and as a gesture of appreciation, the Crown orders a visitation to the ranch every year. I see. A scheduled annual visit. Continue, detective. And they decided to pick that day out of all the days of the year to murder somebody? Doesn't seem like a coincidence. When the Sheikah force arrived, they found the victim bleeding out onto the floor. Next to him lay his daughter, Malin, breathing but unresponsive. After a thorough investigation, we arrested her, and she was deemed the only possible culprit. That about covers the gist of what happened. Very nice and succinct? Yeah, succinct. Keep that up, and perhaps you will keep your job. Oh, I don't think the good detective here has to worry much about that, given she is the head of the department. Which reminds me, why is the head of detectives herself on a case like this? Were the other detectives unavailable? Ah, that would be because I have been assigned to this case by order of the King of Hyrule himself. The King himself assigned you? That doesn't happen very often, does it? You are correct, Your Honor. I'm not usually involved in field work like this. This time, however, the King felt it necessary because of who was involved. Who is involved? The death of a ranch worker really such a concern for the King? Well, as I said, Longland Ranch is a very important supply of goods, to be sure. But that's not who I meant. I imagine the King wanted the top investigators on this job because it was the royal princess herself who discovered the crime scene. Of course they're using this song. Yeah, Link as attorney is great, yeah. That's the whole premise of this game, yeah. Order. I will have order. Oh, the royal Princess Zelda witnessed the crime. Ah, and there you have it. This case rides to the princess's own words. To doubt it would be... Wait, to doubt it would be to doubt your own royalty? What? I don't think that's right. No. This is bad. I can't really object to that. Very well. The princess is testifying today. It's better we don't make her needlessly wait. Detective, please testify about exactly why the defendant was arrested. The reasons for arrest. It is with regret that I agree with Dragmire. All the evidence points towards this girl being the culprit. We determined that the murder definitely took place inside of the ranch house. There were only 3 people on the ranch. The victim, the defendant, and a worker who has an alibi at the time of the crime. I'm guessing if that alibi is not true. The defendant was found unconscious right in front of the victim, who was bleeding out onto the floor. Furthermore, she was holding a weapon. Without a doubt, that's what was used to kill the victim. She seems like such a bright girl. It's most unfortunate. The weapon she was holding was like a saw, so I doubt that she stabbed him with it. Your Honor, I would like to submit these pieces of evidence to the court. First, I have the autopsy report performed by the Crown's top coroner. Here is what we determined to be the murder weapon, which we took from the defendant's hands. To make sure we had the correct weapon, we conducted a very thorough investigation. Naturally, we searched everyone and thoroughly examined the ranch and its vicinity. Nothing unusual was found, but to be safe, we also checked the ranch's inventory list to see whether anything was missing. The list shows the items we found on the ranch exactly, and nothing but the saw had fresh blood on it. That does sound quite compelling. This must have been a truly terrifying scene. Dying from a wound made by a weapon like this is extremely painful. This only helps to prove the defendant's viciousness. At this rate, we're gonna paint Malin as some heartless monster. There's one more thing I feel I should mention, for the sake of completeness. Shortly after we arrived at the ranch, a courier showed up to take some milk shipments. Of course, business must go on. Is this really necessary to enter into evidence, though? The shipments did end up leaving the ranch, so I feel it bears mentioning. Were the contents checked before you let them go? Naturally. What do you take us for? Even though the worker handling the shipments did get quite worked up about it, we cracked all the boxes open to check what was inside. In the end, it did turn out to be only milk bottles, so we let them through. They hide it inside of the milk bottle itself, maybe? I think you didn't see it. Very well. Thank you for your thoroughness, Detective. So, what happens now? Well, this is where I step in and perform a cross-examination. Ah, great. How's that work? Huh? Can you explain what you're going to be doing? Can't hurt to go over this again. Sure, why not? The witness will repeat her testimony. I'll be able to scroll back and forth through individual statements by pressing A and B with a control pad or the stick. They'll just repeat it as many times as you want? I mean, yeah, that's definitely a question to have. That's right, I have to consider every little detail. Can't miss a thing. If I want info about something, I can press L or Z to press the statement and ask the witness a question. Grill them for info. Yep. Since the witness has to come up with an answer on the spot, if they're lying, prompting for more info can make them slip up. Most importantly, though, if I find something that doesn't line up with the evidence, I can press R to bring up the court record. The court record is basically a list of all the evidence, right? Yes. I can open it at any time if I need to recheck the facts. So choosing the contradicting item, I'll press C up to raise an objection and present my doubts to the court. Oh, and I can not only present evidence but profiles as well. Profiles? The court record contains a list of all the people involved too. I can switch between evidence and profiles with R. If I need to review what's been said recently, I can also press start to see a history of messages. Ah, I see. That makes sense. Is the defense done whispering? Sorry. Oh, so his badge is the light medallion. That's what it is, okay. If he's so upset about it, why doesn't he just press C right to skip ahead? Okay. The defense is ready to cross and examine the witness. Ta! A waste of time. I sincerely hope you're not implying that standard court procedure is a waste of time, Mr. Drakemire. In any case, we're ready to defense. Please begin the cross-examination. Now, do I have a health bar? Or can I just do it, like, present stuff as much as I want? I wonder. Yeah, nice. It's with great regret that I agree with Drakemire. All the evidence points towards the girl being the culprit. What makes you think that she's the culprit? She's just about to tell you. Keep quiet and listen. Ah, right. Sorry. Indeed, as I was saying. We've determined that the murder definitely took place inside of the ranch house. And just how did you do that? It's quite simple. There was no blood found anywhere else. Had the victim been attacked at some other location, we'd expect a trail of it leading to the scene. Couldn't the killer have just cleaned it up? Certainly not. The path to the ranch house along the ranch is not paved in any way. Cleaning blood off the ground would require disturbing the soil. Naturally, we found nothing of the sort. Bah. There wouldn't have been enough time to pull that off anyway. Likely true. Right. It sounds like the location of the crime scene is pretty firm. But I'm not giving up yet. There were only 3 people on the ranch. The victim, the defendant, and the worker who has an alibi at the time of the crime. 3 people, you say? I guess that would have to be Mr. Ingo. Let me stop you before you start getting too excited. If you had listened to the rest of what the detective said, you'd notice she had mentioned an alibi. Indeed. We're pretty certain that the ranch worker couldn't have been involved. Well, what is his alibi then? Remember that I brought up some outgoing milk shipments? Well, the worker, Ingo, was in charge of them. He left the ranch house first thing in the morning and was busy preparing the shipments after that. Is that so? Surely he couldn't have gotten away from that for one really quick little murder? This wouldn't just be a quick little murder, as you so crudely put it. He'd have to have taken steps to hide his involvement, too. There was definitely not enough time for that. Unfortunately, I agree. Preparing a shipment is a lot of work. You have to milk all the cows, clean all the bottles, pour the milk out into them, arrange them all into crates, and finally load it all up onto the wagon. Why is one person doing all of that? Usually I had to do it together with Father to finish before the courier arrived. The shipments were already ready when we arrived at the ranch. When we checked the boxes, they were all fully loaded with filled milk bottles. So, this Ingo was able to do the work of 2 people on his own? Isn't that a bit odd? Odd or not, he evidently did just that. Clearly he's a man dedicated to his job. Or perhaps the girl and her father are just very inefficient. This whole thing seems awfully suspicious, if you ask me. But I guess I have nothing to dispute it with. The defendant was found unconscious right in front of the victim, who was bleeding out onto the floor. Melon faded? Correct. We couldn't get her to wake for a long time. Evidently, we decided to administer a healing fairy so she could be questioned. Healing fairy. Basically like a fairy in a bottle that heals you. I guess finding the body was just that much of a shock, huh? Huh! Well, probably just pretending. Trying to make it look like she had merely found the body. In any event. Furthermore, she was holding a weapon. Without a doubt, that's what was used to kill the victim. Actually, what is the autopsy? Oops. Press the wrong button. And how can you be so sure of this? Look at the autopsy report. Deep, irregular wound made with a sharp metal object. Just a small saw. The saw was only found. Sorry, it was the only sharp implement in the ranch house that could produce such a wound. And as I've clearly mentioned, we also looked closely at all other sharp things on the ranch. None had recent blood on them. This doesn't necessarily mean the saw was a murder weapon. Maybe the real culprit had hid the real one. Oh yeah. Prove it then. Show us the real murder weapon. Well, I definitely don't have any way to do that. So something bothers me about that saw. So you have nothing. What a waste of time. She seems like such a bright girl. It's most unfortunate. She sure is. We've known each other for years. Yet she murdered her father in cold blood. How curious. Perhaps you're just bad judges of character. Both of you. No way. Just give me some time and I'm going to prove it. Do you see anything wrong yet? Well, usually it's difficult to find anything wrong with basic facts of the basic facts of the case. That said, I do think I saw one small thing. Nice hint. Really? That's great. It sure is, because I've got to poke all the holes I can find before the princess gets here. Okay, that checks it, so I know that I pressed it already. I did, it's clean of blood. It's a little weird. Huh. This seems like a fairly large oversight. I just want to make sure of something. The state the saw is currently in is how you found it at the crime scene? That's correct. That's strange. Considering how much the victim bled out and how deep his wound was. Why is there no blood on a supposed murder weapon? I think the funniest thing about all this is that Link is wearing pants. He has like leggings or something. Huh! Is that all you've got? Huh? Naturally, the prosecution has an explanation for why the saw is clean. Behold, this cloth was found in the defendant's other hand. As you can plainly see, it is stained with blood. But it's kind of a small cloth. How do you clean a saw that well with just that? The defendant simply wiped the murder weapon in a futile attempt to hide her involvement. If Melon was trying to hide her involvement, why didn't she just leave the crime scene? Bah. Obviously, she was trying to hide the body before the royal visitation arrived at the ranch. Unfortunately for her, it just so happened that the delegation arrived quite a bit earlier than scheduled. In a panic, she quickly wiped the saw off and pretended to faint to make it look like she just stumbled upon the scene. Ka? No, lady, things are not looking very good for you right now. The court accepts the bloodied cloth into evidence. I mean, make sure that isn't forged. So, what's the story with this cloth? Well, as I was doing a final check around the ranch, I noticed that part of the fence around the horse paddock was damaged. I'm not entirely sure when that happened, but sometimes one of the horses just get a bit too rowdy, you know? Right. Anyway, I didn't want to bother Mr. Ingo about it, so I tried to cut up a new rail by myself to patch it up. But then the saw slipped and I cut my hand open. Oh, goodness, are you okay? Well, it wasn't that bad. It did bleed quite a lot, though, so I used that cloth to quickly bandage the wound. I'm actually going to the ranch house to ask Father to help me with the fence. A likely story. And possible to verify now, of course. The Sheikah Force had to use a fairy on the defendant to get her out of her supposed unconsciousness. I do have to give her some credit. She is one cunning woman. She knew that would explain a sudden lack of any wound on her hand. Wait, how would... okay. Ho ho. Why yes, fairies are wonderful. Just the other day I slammed my hand with the gavel, and one took the pain off immediately. Hey, sea lion. Great. Glad to know they're used for such important things. But, dang it. Too bad there's no way to tell whose blood is on the cloth. Yeah, they don't have that kind of science in Zelda. I do believe this matter has been settled. I'm ready to call my next witness. Uh-oh. Is that all I can get out of her? You've served your purpose, Sheikah. Begone! Fine. We had best treat Her Highness with respect. I'll see to it that you spend the night in the dungeons. Do not presume to threaten me, Sheikah. A night of darkness and solitude would be nothing but comfort for me. Is that so? Perhaps we should fill the dungeons with lit candles for the occasion. They're glaring daggers at each other. If this doesn't end soon, we're all in trouble. Order! Order! I'm sure we'll treat the princess with utmost respect. You may step down, detective. The case has already made me weary with all the pointless jabber. The time is ripe to deal the final blow. I call Her Highness, Princess Zelda of Hyrule, to the stand. Such a weird model. It's supposed to be 7 years. So she just look like she's supposed to, right? Like, why she look like she's younger than she's supposed to be? Is something the matter? Why is everyone quiet all of a sudden? I give a different voice than Malin, but it's hard. Your Highness. I believe we're all just a bit uncertain on how to proceed. It is quite the honor to have such an esteemed guest in these halls. Bah. In the face of the law, the princess is no different from a peasant. Name and occupation. Now. The prosecution will behave. I will not have any derogatory statements directed at the princess. Derogatory? I simply wish not to waste any more time. We must employ proper procedure. Oh, man. Yeah, it is alright, Detective. I believe the prosecution does have a point. In the eyes of the law, we are all equals. Understand, I am just another witness. I should not be getting any special treatment. Very admirable, Your Highness. We can all rest easy knowing that Hyrule is destined to have such a wise monarch in its future. Yes, indeed. I eagerly await the day when our next ruler takes the throne and reshapes the kingdom in their image. You flatter me, Prosecutor. Now then. And we have us asked for my name and occupation? I am Zelda, current Princess of Hyrule and heir apparent to the throne. Marvelous, Your Highness. Before we begin, I would just like to know, why were you at Long Long Ranch to witness this terrible incident? It is simple, really. Long Long Ranch is Hyrule Castle's town's biggest food supplier. Not only that, but the ranch also equips Hyrule's Royal Guard with the finest of horses. Every year, the royal family makes a visit as a gesture of goodwill and assure the quality of the steeds. Wow, I didn't know that your horses were used by the Royal Guard. Yep. I work really hard every year. Make sure you give her like a southern accent because she's supposed to be kind of, more country than Zelda. Yep. Yeah, we work real hard every year to make sure they are in the best possible condition. Father loved to boast about it to the other ranch owners. Huh. Knowing talent, I'm sure he did. How unfortunate the ranch may no longer meet the Crown's high standards under new management. Royal family has a backup, I trust. We are looking for one. Naturally, those standards are quite high. Yes, of course. Now then, please describe what you saw on the day of the incident. Very well. Here I go. It's raining, okay. It's raining around this time a lot. Lately. I arrived at Long Long Ranch a little after 8 a.m., accompanied by my royal guards. I remember being surprised at how quiet everything was. There was nobody there to welcome us. I could sense that something was wrong. I opened the door to the ranch house and went inside. The room was mostly empty. There was a table with some kind of crystal bottle on top of it. But in front of the table, a terrifying scene was unveiling. The defendant hacked at the ranch owner's chest with the saw she was holding. I was overcome with fear, and I screamed. I'll never forget what I saw that day. I heard that Talon and his daughter were incredibly kind. I couldn't believe she would commit such horrible violence. So I already know what part is a lie. The part about her actually doing the hacking. What? Oh my. You saw the very moment the victim was killed? Hey, you didn't even know about this? There you go. Decisive testimony. As there is no need to doubt the prince's statement, I call for the judge to make a ruling right away. Funny, he has the Edgeworth like these kind of guard stance, but he has like a lot of other Von Karma animations. Hey now, hold on. I didn't get to cross-examine the witness yet. You haven't, fool, because there is no need. Did you not hear one word of what I said? Didn't you just say we should follow all the procedures and treat the witness like any other witness? This defense is right. You complete. I believe the defense has a point. They do have every right to perform a cross-examination, no matter who is testifying. I was quite looking forward to this part myself. I've only ever read about court proceedings in the royal laboratory. Library? That being said, I will not tolerate any reckless accusations toward the princess. Is that clear? Naturally, Your Honor. How am I going to cross-examine the princess? This isn't going to end well. What's gone into the prosecutor? Seemed like a rather intense outburst. Well, I do have a guess. Oh? Because of the princess's status, it's possible that Dragmar didn't have an opportunity to discuss her testimony with it. To discuss her testimony with her. That might mean that this testimony is a surprise even to him. It could be my chance. Before we begin, there was just one thing that caught my attention. I believe the princess mentioned seeing some kind of glass bottle at the crime scene. That would be this, I presume. I think that's like eye drops or something? I forget. The item in the game, I think, is supposed to be like some eye drops. Why, yes, that's it exactly. Oh, either way. What is that? Oh, this is a bottle of perfume that Father intended to give her Highness when she arrived. He quickly rode out of town to get it at the last moment. We didn't know the princess was coming instead of the king until only about 2 hours before the visitation. Oh, how thoughtful. He really did not need to bother himself so. As fascinating as this all is, the prosecution doesn't believe it's relevant to the case. It's good to have a full picture of the crime scene. The defense requests the bottle to be accepted into evidence. Bah. Desperate to latch onto every little thing, are you? Whatever. You can add it to the evidence if it'll make you happy. No skid off my teeth. Not nose? Teeth? Yeah. In that case, the court accepts this bottle into evidence. Can I actually examine things at all? Didn't seem like it. I just did the princess spot just before the crime found at the crime scene. I think I lost connection for a second. Wait, it was just Twitch disconnected? Because YouTube seems like it's still there, at least for now. Let's give it a second. Clutched by Malin at the crime scene, supposedly she wiped the facade clean with this. No, she didn't. Rakes, 4 pieces. Garden hose, buckets, hammers, knives, wood saws, saddles, horseshoes, axes, brooms. The thing that I was thinking of first when I was thinking about what it could be that actually killed him would be a rake, not the saw. Deep irregular wound. I'll get my I wish my voice well. Whatever, second here. Need some water. Yeah, it's really neat so far, though. Like the way they translated Phoenix Wright and everything, or translated Doctor in Time into Phoenix Wright, I guess, is more the apt way of saying it. Yeah, anyone knowing Ingo and Talon's relationship over her time, you definitely know that Ingo would definitely kill Talon if he was in his way. He seems the most suspect for any of us that play the game. I just realized the chat, the recap messages. Eerie halls of Phantom Indolent's courtroom. Whispers of justice echo through the chat. Spectators become sleuths, piecing together clues with every twist and turn in the Hero of Law playthrough. As Link takes a stand, viewers hold their breath. Will the truth prevail? Stay tuned as the subathon month unravels more than just cases. Hashtag Ghostly Gabble. Now then, defense. Begin your cross-examination. I don't understand why they went with this model for Zelda. This is like a new model they had to make for this game. I arrived at Long Lawn Ranch a little after 8 a.m., accompanied by my loyal guards. If these guards were with Her Highness, why were they not called as witnesses? We did question the guards, naturally. Apparently, they didn't get to see anything relevant. I was the only one to enter the crime scene. After seeing what was inside, I stood guard and insisted that no one be allowed inside until the Chica Force arrived. I've read that preserving the scene is vital. Quite correct. I'm sure the guards were absolutely thrilled with this order. Please proceed, witness. I remember being surprised at how quiet everything was. There was nobody there to welcome us. Have you conducted these royal visitations in the past, Your Highness? No. This was my first one. Up until last year, my father was always the one to visit Long Lawn Ranch. However, he decided I had to start preparing for all the royal duties that await me, and so I was to do it this time. I just noticed who Zelda reminds me of. She has like the animations of why am I blanking on her name? Maya's cousin, but why am I forgetting her name? Help me out here, bro. Why am I forgetting her name? Like right at the top, like right at the edge of my tongue. I can't think of what it is. No, if you remember. But yeah, she has animations of her. You will doubtlessly perform admirably as ruler when the time comes. What happened when you got to the ranch house? I could sense that something was wrong. I opened the door to the ranch and went inside. And? What then? Stop interrupting and let her get to the point. Defense. I believe I was clear about not badgering the witness. Drat, I need to calm down. The room was mostly empty. There was a table with some kind of crystal bottle on top of it. You paid attention to something like that after seeing a murder princess?
Well, I spent a rather long time in there waiting for the Sheikah horse to arrive. Plus, the bottle was quite beautiful. It just stood out. But in front of the table, a terrifying scene was unveiling. The defendant hacked at the ranch owner's chest with the saw she was holding. You were there at the exact time of the murder, Your Highness? That's correct. That's impossible. You're lying.
The defendant will curb her outburst. You're addressing royalty.
This is really bad. What should... what now? Accuse Zelda of the crime.
That's what's the crime scene.
What were the victim and the defendant... Where were the victim and the defendant at this time? The ranch owner was in front of a little table that was directly across the entrance door. The defendant was right in front of him and quickly fainted after her attack. A large pool of blood started forming where the victim was. I had a rather good view of the whole scene.
Right. It is unfortunate. It is as unfortunate as it is fortunate. As that is as unfortunate as it is fortunate. Now, you should see the whole thing in such detail. No, please continue.
Should I ask about something else?
Ask about the outside. What was outside?
Are you sure there wasn't anyone else at the ranch, Your Highness? Well, the place looked empty. Although I did later see a worker pull up a loaded wagon when a courier came asking about milk shipments. It caused a little bit of a scene when the Sheikah force started inspecting it. That worker must have been somewhere else at the ranch, I suppose.
The ranch is pretty large. Said worker was inside a building on the other side. It is quite understandable she wouldn't have seen him until later.
Drat. It really doesn't give me a whole lot to work with.
Ask about something else? Nope, that's enough.
I was overcome with fear, and I screamed. I'll never forget what I saw that day. Are you sure you got a good look, then, Your Highness? You didn't look away in panic?
The princess was very brave to take control of the situation the way she did. There is no need to doubt what she saw.
Yes, I suppose what she did was admirable. If only we had arrived earlier. Your Highness, don't blame yourself for this. If you arrived earlier, you could have been the one that got attacked.
Ha! So he would have lashed out at anyone trying to stop you, huh? Despicable. That's not what she meant, and you know it. Princess, please go on.
Very well. I heard that Tal and his daughter were incredibly kind. I cannot believe she would commit such horrible violence.
Trust your heart, Princess. You know Malin didn't do this. What nonsense. Her heart? What do her organs have to do with anything? Oh, of course. Evidence and testimony be damned. Just because we feel the defendant must be innocent. Oh, well, if you're sure, then I declare today's verdict. Have you gone senile, old man? It was a joke, much like the arguments the defense has been presenting.
I can't believe the princess would lie like this. Yeah, it really is shocking. You don't believe her, right? Even if she's a princess, that means nothing. I didn't do it.
To trust authority or your best friend. I'll need something very concrete to disprove what the princess is saying. It's probably this, but it hacked the owner's chest with the saw she was holding. Wait, chest? It wasn't the chest.
right? No. This doesn't say where, does it? Wait, no later than 8 a.m. And when did this happen? When she walked in? I arrived at the Lano Ranch a little after 8 a.m. Okay, that's actually this part. Because if he died before that, he died no later than 8 a.m. So yeah, he would have been dead already. Your Honor, Your Highness, I believe I found something that doesn't quite match up with the facts. Oh, geez, thunder. What did he say? How dare you question the princess? This is... You will let the defense speak, prosecutor. I think I see why he so desperately wanted to prevent this cross-examination now. Your Highness, you stated that you arrived at the ranch shortly after 8 a.m., correct? Yes, the visit was scheduled for 8:30 exactly. But we were quite a bit early. I see. That makes something you mentioned quite impossible. As stated by the autopsy report, the victim definitely died before 8 a.m. You couldn't have seen the defendant attack the ranch owner when you arrived, because the victim was already dead by then. Order! Order! Yes, you've really caught her in a lie. Your Highness, what is the meaning of this? While I wholeheartedly respect and serve the crown, I will nonetheless not tolerate lies in my court. I have not lied. I really did not see the exact moment it happened. Because I only thought I did. Princess, it's a matter of life and death. I definitely saw the defendant there, though, along with the body. There's no one else who could have done it. I remember all the other details correctly. The body's on the floor, the pool of blood. You have to believe me. Perhaps it would be best if Her Highness revises her testimony. Yeah, that's not good. There's still not enough doubt to overturn this testimony. I'll have to find something else, or this case will be over. What I actually saw. What it still saw in his chest. I'm sorry for embellishing the truth a little bit. I did not see the actual moment of the attack. But it had to have happened shortly before I went into the ranch house. Miss Mellon and her father were the only ones at the scene of the crime. So she must be the culprit. I see. You only saw the aftermath of the scene, not the actual crime being committed. Very well. Hopefully there is no issue in your testimony this time. Defense, it's time for your cross-examination. Naturally, Your Honor. Trademark still looks pretty angry. I bet he didn't expect such a blatant contradiction to pop up. If I could just find another one like that, the prince's testimony would become completely untrustworthy in the eyes of the judge. Sorry for embellishing the truth a little bit. Why did you do that, Your Highness? There's a life on the line here. I really am sorry. Since I got a bit too excited about being a witness in an actual murder trial. Really, no. Most people hate testifying. Yes, well, The life of a princess is rather boring, you know. This is quite the break from the routine for me. Should just get a hobby then. I did not see the actual moment of the attack. In that case, it can't be conclusively proven that the defendant did it. Defense, did you exhaust your singular brain cell in that last contradiction you found? There's a Death Mountain's worth of evidence pointing to the defendant. Death Mountain's a place in the game. Just because no one saw the actual moment of the crime doesn't mean anyone else could have done it. I think you're making a Death Mountain out of a Death Molehill. Okay. It had to happen shortly before I went into the ranch house. How could you be so sure of that, Princess? Well, when I entered the ranch house, the victim still had the murder weapon embedded into his body. What? It is obvious what this means, is it not? The killer did not even have enough time to try to hide the weapon. Yes, I might not have seen the murder firsthand, but I must have been very close to doing so. Oh my. It seems like a very important detail. I think it would be advisable for Her Highness to amend her testimony. Certainly, Your Honor. Interesting. Draymire certainly doesn't look very happy about this development, does he? Thinking about it, I might just know why. The murder weapon was still stuck in the victim's body, after all. It doesn't necessarily mean that my client was the one to do it, though. What if someone else snuck in before Malin and the princess arrived? Well, I suppose. Walnut Ranch is surrounded by high walls, and the only way is through a self-locking gate. Not very many people have a key to that gate, just the personnel and the crown. Well, someone could have forced their way in. Bah! If you wish to propose such a possibility, you must substantiate it with evidence. Do you have any proof that another person showed up at the ranch's house before the princess? Do I? So I do have health bar. It's hearts, of course. Are we talking about like Talon going to get the perfume? I always go for it. Of course I do. The piece of evidence that shows that a person was at the scene of the crime is at the scene of the crime. Let's go with this. These are the traces of another person at the scene. Huh. That just shows you have no traces of evidence to go on. Yes, defense. I'm afraid I can't really trace your logic. Well, you see, please try to keep at least a trace amount of credibility. Miss Malin and her father were the only ones at the scene of the crime, so she must be the culprit. Are you sure Malin was the only person there, other than the victim? From what I recall, there's an upstairs room at the ranch house. What if someone was hiding there? Don't be stupid, defense. If someone was hiding up there, the Sheikah Force would have found them. I stood guard at the door the entire time. No one could have left. What if they jumped out of a window? That would be ridiculous. Those windows are very high up. Actually, those windows can't even be opened. They'd have to break one to leave. Is that like a joke about the game, not having actual windows? Right. Well, there's a little more plausible. This is a little more plausible than the last testimony she gave. Yes, I suppose it matches the detective's accounts, doesn't it? Still, I feel like something here sticks out like a sore thumb. Still stuck into the victim, huh? Well, if he died of blood loss, then it couldn't be in him, right? Because if something was left inside, it wouldn't bleed out. But I mean, that's not what the point I'm trying to get. I mean, it's more the fact that she wiped it clean with this. She can't wipe it clean if it's still in the body. I believe I found another reason to doubt the witness's words. It seems the prosecution sees what I'm getting at here. There was a bloody cloth discovered at the scene of the crime. The prosecution has argued before that it was used to wipe the saw clean. But the princess saw the saw lodged into Talon's body, and the crime scene was left intact. Then it couldn't have been wiped. Well, Prosecutor Dragmeyer, care to explain? Grrr. This is most perplexing. Your Highness, are you sure that's what you saw? Well, maybe the princess decided to pull the saw out in a valiant yet futile attempt to save the victim. And then wipe the blade clean. That would be almost like framing the defendant. Of course I did no such thing. I made sure the crime scene stayed intact. I guess I must have made up the memory about the saw sticking out of Mr. Talon as well. You idiotic girl! Do you even realize what you've done through your bumbling? I'm sorry. I was just so excited to stand as a witness in a court just this once. Whenever I tried to tell my father about anything, he always seemed so disinterested. Just this once, I wanted to feel listened to. The defendant, it is clear that she did it. I just wanted to play a larger part in her capture. Sorry for the trouble I've caused you all. Your Highness, the court is no place for silly games. As it stands, I'm afraid we will have to strike your statements from the court record completely. Yes, I did it. The prosecution lost their key witness. No, please wait. I have more to say. I was wrong with the crime scene, but I still have not testified about what I saw afterwards. Bah. Why would we care about that? It's best that you leave and stop damaging my case with your idiocy. Even if you are not interested in my words, you might be interested in the evidence I found. What? Huh? Evidence? Of course. While the Sheikah force investigated inside the ranch house, I looked out around the rest of the ranch on my own. Sheikah? Do you know about this? Of course I did. You did? I'll have your head for this. Order. Order! What is the meaning of this, detective? Why have you withheld this from the court? It's quite simple. The princess specifically requested to present her finding on her own. Findings, anyway. What? And you agreed to this? This court is not some playground where children decide what evidence should be presented just because they have a crowd. It's being rude about it, but I can't help but agree with Dragmire on this one. Also, I don't really buy this story. There's no way Impa would have allowed this. Believe me, I wasn't thrilled with the request either. However, after seeing the evidence in question, I didn't think it would be at all important to the case. Thus, I let the princess have her fun. This is highly irregular. I'm not sure how to feel about this. Prosecutor? Naturally, I object to this nonsense. If the detective thinks it's irrelevant, then it's probably just a waste of time. All the evidence points to the defendant. It's so clear she did it, even without a witness at the scene. I see. Defense? What will we do? We objected to presenting the evidence that Dragmire loses his key witness. Plus, whatever the princess presents could be bad for our case, too. So we should agree with the prosecution? Well, on the other hand, we don't really have much to go on. This could be our only lead left. Well, don't keep us waiting. Surely you won't throw away all the progress you've made thus far. What do I do? Request the evidence. I really hope this is the right choice. The defense requests that the evidence be presented. What? While I agree that the situation is irregular, we should still examine all evidence available. It would be silly to dismiss it as irrelevant without even seeing what it is. I do believe you have a point, defense. However, I must warn you. In order to admit this piece of evidence into the court record, the princess's statement that she found it must be admitted as testimony, along with everything else she might say. Yes, Your Honor, I am well aware. The defense wishes to give the princess just one more chance. Of all the idiotic... foolish... order... sorry. Order. Very well, then. Your Highness, please testify once more about the new piece of evidence you found during your own investigation. Thank you. I will not let you down this time. I promise. The princess should understand the gravity of the situation at hand now. I just hope this new evidence isn't damaging to our case. I wish to express my most heartfelt apologies for my mistake in the earlier testimony. Upon entering the ranch house, I saw the defendant passed out in front of the victim, who was bleeding out. I stood guard at the entrance of the ranch house until the Sheikah force arrived. Once the Sheikah started investigating the crime scene, I decided to take a look around the ranch. While I was walking near the silo, I noticed a strong odor in the air. I had to stop to see where it was coming from. I followed the scent and found a burned-out fire nearby, and a small, nearby empty bottle of lamp oil. I, of course, took the bottle straight to the head detective. And here it is, the oil bottle I found. Is, something wrong? Oh no, this might actually be completely irrelevant. Yes, well, of course there is, foolish girl. Oh, let's get that has nothing to do with anything. Your great finding is some random fire on a ranch. Please. What next? Are you going to declare every rake on the premises suspicious? Well, The prosecution will calm down. This is bad. Your Honor, despite the fact that this evidence might not seem to add anything in a moment, the defense still asserts its right to cross-examine. Some straws have been grasped. Why must you insist on this charade, defense? The princess has merely recounted the same view of the crime scene as the head detective. You haven't been able to find any contradictions in her statements. I believe there might be a way to tie the princess's new evidence into the case. Ridiculous! Regardless of what the prosecution thinks, the defense does have a right to do a cross-examination. The court admits the oil bottle into evidence. I just really hope that this isn't a complete waste of time, defense. For both of your own sake, for both your own sake and your clients. I wish to express my most heartfelt apologies for my mistakes in the earlier testimony. He objects to me holding it. There's no need to press the princess on her apology. You already wasted the chance to throw out her testimony. Yes, defense. Please get to the point. Yikes. Upon entering the ranch house, I saw a defendant pass out in front of the victim, who was bleeding out. Was there anything else in the room? Only the beautiful little crystal bottle I mentioned before. The house was rather barren. Most of our things are on the top floor, since the downstairs room is mostly used for ranch business these days. And the occasional game. Ah, of course. Dad's famous Kuko game. The good old days. The defense done reminiscing. There will be plenty of time to do that when the defendant's behind bars. I was just trying to distract myself from the fact that there's nothing to latch onto here. I stood guard at the entrance of the ranch house until the Sheikah force arrived. Did anything happen during that time? No, not that I recall. The guards did occasionally protest and asked me to let them take over, but I held my stance. While commendable in theory, staying in the same room as a dangerous killer isn't very wise. What if she woke up and lashed out at you? Sweet Hyrule up above. That thought did not occur to me. Bah, of course not. Foolish girl. But the guards did stand close by. I would have been safe. Wonderful to see how much faith our princess has in our royal guard. Yes, of course I do. In any case. Once the Sheikah started investigating the crime scene, I decided to take a look around the ranch. You didn't just go home? The royal visitation was supposed to last a little longer, or a lot longer. Father was not expecting us back at the castle until much later. I came to the ranch to examine the horses, so I suppose I could at least do that in the meantime. How long did it take the Sheikah to arrive at the scene? It did not take very long to make the trip from Hyrule Castle Town to Walnut Ranch. I cannot imagine it was more than 20 minutes. That is pretty fast. Although I imagine the fact that the princess was involved helped speed things up. Or helped speed it up. Slowpokes. I would have been there in half that time. Running backwards, even. That's a funny reference. So, in Ocarina of Time, the game that's based off you actually run faster backwards than you do forwards. Funny enough. It's a funny little reference. I suppose it's no surprise, though. Highland horses are naturally inferior to our fine Gerudo steeds. The Gerudo buy horses from our ranch. Wait. From our ranch too, you... Yeah, I figured you were saying. Just don't bother, he's trying to rile you up. Yeah. While I was walking near the silo, I noticed a strong odor in the air. I had to stop to see where it was coming from. What was the smell like? Oh, it was awful. A really terrible stench. Sure, you don't mean to say that you found the smell of horse manure suspicious. Do not be ridiculous. The smell was not coming from the horses. I followed the scent and found a burned out fire nearby, and a small, nearly empty bottle of lamp oil. A fire, huh? Now, let me remind you, Defense, that there's not any number of reasons why a fire could have been there. You can still feel the cold grass of death early in the morn. Princess, how long would you estimate the fire had been out before you found it? Ah, right. There was still smoke rising out of the ashes, so it must have been put out recently. So around the time of the crime. So someone prepared their breakfast there. I repeat, this fire is irrelevant. I think he's realized the same thing I did. Well, who was it? Who could have lit that fire anyway? It would have had to have been the ranch worker who was putting the milk shipments together at the time. It was almost certainly him. If you really want to ask about this little barbecue, you might just get your wish soon. Doesn't sound like it was very appetizing. Without anything concrete to pin on him, he'll just be able to brush it off. I, of course, took the bottle straight to the head detective. Right, and she allowed you to present it? Well, I was the one to find it, and since I was going to the trial anyway... Utterly ridiculous. Yes. Please make this the last time you do something like this, Your Highness. Proper procedures exist for a reason. Yes, I understand. Defense, I believe that is enough. It doesn't seem like you're getting any closer to finding a connection between this fire and the crime at all. Yeah. No, I suppose not, Your Honor. Naturally. I said this was a waste of time from the beginning. In that case, this cross-examination is over. Thank you for your time, Your Highness. I assume you have no more revelations to share with us. No, I do not. I only thought the fire would be important. Leave my sight. Enough. Your Highness, if you allow me to escort you back to Hyrule Castle. Very well. Now that the prince's little game is over, we should move this along. The prosecution's stance is still the same, of course. We maintain that the evidence on its own is enough to convict the defendant. I do believe I am nearly ready to hand down my verdict. But, Your Honor, there's nothing that definitively shows that Malon committed the crime. This is all circumstantial. There's no way she could kill her own father. That is an excellent point, defense. The prosecution has yet to elaborate on the defendant's motive. Patricide is not something a person commits lightly.
Bah. I did briefly touch on the subject during my opening statement. But naturally, the prosecution is fully prepared to elaborate on the matter. I would like to call out in my third witness. That has to be that ranch worker. Before calling him in, though, the prosecution requests a brief recess to prepare. I thought you said you were already prepared. Maybe he wants to double check that this new witness won't pull anything weird like the princess did? Very well. I do believe a break would benefit us all. The court will reconvene after a 15-minute recess. Court is adjourned.